Welcome back to LarryB YouTube channel. Today's class will learn how to make this beautiful asymmetric top. It's a kimono top, and then it has this beautiful cuff at the hem of the sleeve, and then it has a bishop collar on the neckline also. It's a very simple blouse and it's very easy to make. Okay, so to make this blouse, it's like it's a big blouse and it's free size. So I just want to illustrate how I'm going to be folding my fabric using this paper. So now I'll be folding my fabric into 4, but I'll first fold it into 2 using the length of this blouse. So I want it to be a total of 56 inches length. So I'm using a total of 3 yards of fabric. So now let's say this is the yardage of my fabric, 3 yards. I'll fold this into 2, one for front, one for back. So I'll have 1.5 yard for the front and also 1.5 yard for the back. So after folding it into the back like this, I'm using a chiffon fabric. The length of the fabric I'm working with is 60 inches. So I'm going to fold it again by the length into 2. So this is me dividing the front and back into 2 halves. This is 1/2 of the front and back, and this is the other half. And then, like I said, the length of the fabric is 60 inches. So by the time I fold it into 2 like this, I'll have around 30 inches, which is okay for me. But if you want to know the actual measurement that you can use for this, you can measure from your center back to your wrist, and then you add few inches to it so that it can be a bit puffy. So you can see now the fabric is folded into 4, and this is what I have on my table. So the measurements you actually need for this is not a lot. I'm going to take my neckline measurements, and the neckline is like a turtle neckline, so it's not so wide. So for my neckline, I'll be using a neck width of 3 inches. If you are not so big, you can use 2 3/4, but 3 inches is fine for me. So my neck width is 3 inches, and the depth that I'm using for the front is 1.5 inches, and then for the back I'm also using 3 inches. Using my curve, I'm going to connect the back neckline first, and then I'll connect the front neckline. I hope my chalk is visible enough. Okay, so this is for the back, this is for the front, is lower than the back. So I'm just going to try to make it more obvious. So after this, now I'll go over now and do my shoulder slope. So you may not do your shoulder slope if you don't want any seam line on your shoulder, but I don't mind that. So I'm just going to shift it towards the edge of the other side. So here I'm going to go down by 2 inches. You can do 1.5 inches for my shoulder slope. So I'm going down by 2 inches, and then from there I'm going to connect it diagonally to my neck point. Okay, so I just shifted my fabric like this so that we can see it well. This is my back neckline, my front neckline, and then here I went down by 2 inches for my shoulder slope, and then I connected it to my neck point. So now the next thing now is to create my sleeve opening. So to do this now, remember this is going to be on our sleeve area, which is here. So I'm going to take my sleeve measurement, which is 9 inches. So you can see I'm taking the measurement loosely. I have around 9 inches here. So this 9 inches, I'm not going to be dividing it by 2 because we are still going to be running a gathers around here. So you can even add maybe 1 or 2 inches to it if you want it to be really full. So now I'll just make it 10 inches, and then from where my shoulder slope stops, I'm going to measure 10 inches downwards like this, and then I have my 10 inches here. So once I have my 10 inches here, I'm going to shape this. So to shape this on this side, I'll just go inwards by 4 to 6 inches actually. So I'll just go inwards by around 5 inches like this, so that I can have my true armhole. It's not going to blend with the rest of the body. Then I can easily gather and add a band to it. So now the next thing now is to maintain what I have here all the way to the hemline, but I don't want it too sharp like this. So I'm just going to be trying to curve my hand. So I'm giving it a smooth curve from that side, and then I'm going to mark it downwards. Okay, so you can see what we have. This is where our shoulder slope stops. Then you can see where my sleeve opening stops. Then I just curved it a bit, and then I took that measurement all the way to the hem. Okay, So now I'm going to cut this, then we'll see what we have. Okay, so I'm just cutting it. This is the side, and then I'll cut it to my sleeve. Okay, so you can see the shape that we have for this. So now the next thing I'm cutting now is my shoulder slant. And like I said, if you don't want to have a seam line there, you may not do a shoulder slant, but I prefer it this way. So my shoulder slant is out. Then I'm going to cut out my neckline. So because the back neckline is higher, I'm cutting the back neckline first, and then I'll remove the back, and then I'll try to fold in the back, then I'll cut out the front neckline. Okay, so now the first thing I'm going to do, because this is a chiffon fabric, you can see I'm holding it with pin, so that it's not going to be giving me issues. I'll go over to my machine now and then join it on the shoulder, on the two shoulders like this. I'll join it on the shoulder, and then I'll also join it on the sides, so that it will be easier for me to work with them before I bring it back for us to continue. Okay, so I've held it with pins, so I just decided to quickly do it so that I can sew everything all at once. So now for easy passage through the head, on the center back here, I'm going to fold the back part into two and then open it by around 4 inches on the center back. So now once you fold it into two, you just measure out around 4 inches or 5 inches, which is here, and then I'm going to cut it open so that it will be easy for the person to wear it. So you're not going to be cutting your front with it, it's just the back. So I'm opening it up now, and then I'm cutting it up to that point. So you can see now that the back, the center back is opened. So now the last thing is to do now is to give it that shape that you can see. So now to do this shape, you choose whichever side you want to be. So because it has like an high-low effect on this side, so you choose the side that you want this style to be. So now I'm choosing my right side. So now on this right side, from my shoulder point, you measure where you want the low part to start. So it can start on your hip area, it can start on your waist area, or wherever it is you want. So I want mine to start around the hip area, and the hip I'm working with is 26 inches. So from my shoulder point here, I'm going to be measuring 26 inches, or you can just add 2 inches to it. So if I'm adding 2 inches to this, that's going to give me 28 inches, and then I have the 28 inches there. So now using my long ruler, I'm going to be connecting from this side, that's this 28 inches, all the way to the hem of the other side in a diagonal form. Okay, so to the hem of this other side, now I'll use my ruler to connect it, so you can use your free hand. Okay, so now I'm just connecting it from there, and then I'm connecting it diagonally to the hem of the other side. Okay, I hope you understand this. By the time we put it on the mannequin, you will see the shape that we have. So now after connecting it like that, I'll take my scissors, and then I'm going to cut out that diagonal shape, and that is all you need to do. So now the next thing, we'll take it to the machine now so that we can sew everything together. So I've cut it out, and this is the new shape that I have. You can see that it is slanted. Okay, so now I've gone ahead to sew it, and this is what we have. So I'll just turn it to the right side so that we can continue. So now turning it to the right side, you can see what we have. So now on the neckline, I'm going to take my tape rule now and measure around the neckline. Okay, so now I'm measuring around the neckline, and then I have around 19 inches. So now this 19 inches, I'm going to add few inches to it because I want it to be I want the collar to be extended. I'm going to place a bishop collar around here so that I can add like a button or hook to it to fuse them together. Remember, there's an opening at the center back. So now I have 19 inches. I can just cut a collar of 21 inches. So I already have a tutorial on how to cut a bishop collar on the channel, and then I've cut out my collar. So I cut two of these, one for main fabric and then the other one is going to be for the lining. Okay, so now I'll go over now and fix my collar to this, and then also on the sleeve area I'm going to take my actual wrist measurement. Okay, and for me this is around, but you don't want it too tight because there's no elastic there, and then my hand is going to pass through it. So I'm just going to make it around 8.5 or 9 inches. So now that 9 inches, now I'm going to use it to cut a collar. So I have a collar of around 10. I'm going to cut a collar of around 10 inches with allowance by 6 inches, so that by the time I fold this now into two and then I hold it like this, I'll have around 2.5 inches left. So I'm going to gather what I have on my wrist here to fit into this small band, then I'll bring it back to show us. Okay, so now I've gone ahead to add my collar to this, and then you just use your bias to turn the back opening that you did. So this is my collar. So this is the extension I was talking about. I'm just going to put a button. So all this area, I don't have this matching color of bias yet, that's why I've not done it. You use your bias to turn it so that it will be neatly finished before you fix your collar. So here you just put your button or whatever it is that you want to use to hold it together there, and then this is the cuff that I added to the sleeve area. So this is the first one and this is the second one. Okay, so this is the full view of the dress, and then on this lower side you hem it neatly so that it will be neat, and this is what we have. So now I'll take this to the mannequin so that we'll see what it looks like. Okay, so this is what our blouse is looking like. This is the bishop collar that we have on the blouse, and this is the sleeve. So you can see the little band that we have on the sleeve on both sides, and like I said, I used the chiffon fabric for this, so it's a see-through fabric. And then this is the asymmetric style that we have on the hem of the blouse. You can see how simple it is to make this and how beautiful it is. I hope you enjoyed making this simple blouse with me. If you enjoyed this, let us know in the comment section. Like,